there would be some people that would benefit from it, but it would definitely help Ford with bringing the, bringing up that fleet
Oh,
average,
yes,
mile per
100%.
gallon average, because if they're going to sell less Lightnings, they're going to need to make it up somewhere else. Otherwise, they're going to be fined by the government or end up, paying Rivian money or Tesla money for those carbon credits. Because yes, it's wild with Dodge being behind the fuel efficiency forced government move. They're way behind, but they're just paying their competitor to keep going, to
Do you
survive.
do you think with the slowdown of the EV, I mean, Tesla is gonna sell Tesla. Tesla has there's a luxury name associated with that, but with the big 3, or what I like to call the big 2 now, since the Jeep and all that is much just a European company. Do you think that they kinda push I know the dealers are pushing back with the federal government a little bit. I know here in the United States, the dealers are signing letters trying to get Biden to let's just reevaluate. Do you think the dealers went out on that and are like, "Hey, we wanna do this, but at the same point, we're companies that have to make money, and if people aren't buying these vehicles or there's not the mass rush to buy these vehicles, do you think that, we slow down this? Because what was it, 2030, 2035 when, we were supposed to be all EV or over 50%? I do. I think they've learned real quick that the rush of excitement and the big 3 got really excited about, "Oh, we can do it," and GM still can't seem to actually get an electric vehicle out for whatever reason. And I live next to, or pretty close to their Spring Hill, Tennessee plant, and they've got a new Ultium battery plant I was just at the other day, and massive plants. And I think by the time well, I've talked to workers that work there, they're like, "This tech's already outdated that we're installing." So I think these companies are gonna have to tell whoever the local governments, the federal governments, like, "Hey, we wanna do this, but we cannot do it at these let's slow down, let us still sell some let's tone the cafe regs down just slightly, and
Yeah.
then we'll work with everybody."
Yeah, it's everything you're saying is spot on. And the real difficulty is with the current battery technology, and everyone, all the manufacturers are fighting over the same resources. They're,
Mhm.
all our phones, and I'm watching two handsome guys right here. So, I'm following the chat on the side. So, the WB Ridgeview, the regulars, thank you so much for being here. But big problems for dealers because it is hurting us. Ford is losing with all the competition for the same batteries. Lithium prices in the last 3 4 years, they did what? They tripled,
Mhm.
and it's
Well, you know why
making
that is? China sucked up all of the mineral rights in South Africa and all that, and wisely. I don't. It's when it comes to all these countries kind of hoarding up these minerals. I get 100% why, and part of China hoarding these up was they were bringing a lot of resources to the areas in Africa that didn't have fresh water. There's a trade out to it, but
yeah.
they own basically all that. They tried to do it in South America as well. They're trying to control the economy of mineral resources, and I think that's a big chunk of it. And you look now, China is about to bring cars to the United States and North America. They're really pushing hard to get those vehicles to. They're willing to lose a lot of money. Their government's willing to subsidize that so they can be number one in the EVs here. And there's a reason for why now GM and all these companies, the mineral prices are going up.
Yeah, but at the end of it, it's making it that these cafe regulations are really hard on dealers
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
Ford, with the price of lithium easily tripling, they're losing money on these EVs. And on average, Ford said it was revealed that Ford loses on average $33,000 per EV built. Obviously, they're losing a lot more when they build a Pro. And right now, the Pro model, they could sell a ton of them. I've got an insane amount of demand for an F-150 Lightning Pro,
Hmm.
but the end result of it is that no one Ford's only producing 1% of the whole Lightning production is 1%. So next to no one is going to get a
Yeah.
Pro model. And then, XLT standard range battery, they're losing money on it as well, not losing it quite as much as the Pro. So at the end
Hmm.
of the day, it hurts dealers because the models that we're getting the most of are Lariat, and we're getting more Platinum models than we are Pro, obviously. And the result is that what people want, they're not getting.
Right.
So we get these lariats sitting around at the lots, 100,000 Canadian, 102, 103,000 Canadian dollars,
Wow.
and we're paying 8% interest on these machines, and
Yeah.
it's compound interest, right? So it gets calculated every month. So every month, it's at the end of the year, we end up paying, of course, more than 8% because they're tallying up that average. Every single month, these vehicles are sitting on dealer lots, and it is truly hurting our bottom line. And
Yeah, and then
for
you just have
Ford,
to dump them. At the end of the
we
day, the
yeah,
dealership has to dump it because nobody wants an old 23 or 22 just sitting there on the lots. They gotta have new vehicles, and
we really
yeah,
hope
I
we
think
won't have to dump them. We really hope that Ford will throw down some
yeah, some
rebates the
cash
way
for it,
they do
yeah.
on, an F-150 gas model right now has what, 7,000 Canadian
Wow.
manufacturers rebate on the 2023s to help get them off the lots. And it is actually, we're having very good, January was a very good sales month for F-150s.
Oh, nice.
At least at my dealership, it was an extremely good month because of that $7,000 rebate. And we'd move a lot of Lightnings if they threw down a $7,000 or $8,000
Yeah.
rebate
Do you
on
think
them.
at the end of the day, John, that do you think that, Ford was real quick to say, "We have a Gen 2 truck coming."
Yeah.
They wanted to beat Tesla at the end of the day, which I don't blame them at all. The truck, I commend Ford. They made a electric truck that looks still like a Ford truck. They didn't go Cybertruck, which, the love-hate on that is either or. But they took a basic, "Hey, we can shove electric motors under this. We can put a average size battery pack under that and sell a truck pretty quickly." Do you think that they are happy now going, well, I know they've cut to one shift at the manufacturing facility there for the Lightning. I think
Yeah.
personally, I think they're okay with everything right now of going, okay, we'll still trickle them out, but we've got this Gen 2 truck we're probably going to release in a year and a half or so. Let's just, like you said, probably for dealers, we're going to have to throw some money down. Let's get rid of these. We'll just build a handful of them a month, and then we'll jump up and get ready for Gen 2.
Yeah, sometimes you got to cut your losses, but the problem with Ford, I understand Ford announcing how they've got this Gen 2 technology coming and it's going to be incredible and so different, vastly different. The problem is it's not helping us
Right.
sell and for Ford, they sold those vehicles to the dealers. The
Mhm.
deal's done for them. It's sold. Sometimes people think dealers play, these games to help Ford's numbers. No, no, no. When Ford is sold, Ford sells the vehicles to the dealerships. The dealerships start paying 8% interest on those vehicles. So when Ford announces how incredible Gen 2 Lightning is going to be, and we're sitting with all these, $103,000 Lariats sitting around that we're paying 8% on, it's kind of like, oh, please don't talk about that right now. Give us
Right.
don't talk about that. Talk about this new manufacturer rebate you're going to put on the EVs. But Ford, from the outset, said it's going to be one price, fixed pricing for the EVs. That they're not going to do rebates. However, listening carefully, I can see that Ford has the door kind of open. They want to keep the door open for being able to play around with the MSRP price. As we saw, we started the year with the XLT being 2023 XLT. Well, my Lariat I bought at 112,000, or I'm leasing because I don't want my technology to go out and kill my resale value. And at the end of the lease,
Right.
give the keys back. So I'm leasing my F-150 Lightning. But I paid it was 112 window sticker, and now the same Lightning is $102,000 window sticker. And I read an article from Ford Authority saying that in the United States, as of January 8th, there's price increases and price reductions. It was talking about the Platinum going down by, I believe it was $7,000, but that the Pro would go up by 5,000, and the XLT 2024 Lightning was going up by $10,000. And I'm wondering if that's so that they can still people will look at
And
Lariat
what a
versus
way
an
to
XLT and
what a way to scare customers too, because you're dealing now your price is based on mineral prices, basically. So
yeah,
you're playing the commodities stock market game with vehicles, and customers do not understand that. They
yeah,
expect, okay, each year a vehicle might go up, but I know for that year, here's the price. And with Lightning, it's been in a year and a half, it's been up, down, it's been all over the place. And I feel for dealers having to deal with this because once you like you said, once you buy the vehicle from Ford, you bought the vehicle from Ford and you're stuck with that price. Just because Ford
right.
drops the price again, that's not the price that dealership paid, 2 months earlier. So for dealers to get stuck with some of that, it's a shame, and I think it's smart of you to lease that vehicle, and I think it was for any EV tech right now, only way I would ever do it is to lease it. Maybe other
Absolutely.
than Tesla. Tesla has pretty good resale value, but past that, I look at Nissan had a problem. Nissan was big. They brought out the Leaf, and between them and Tesla, they were the first two. Nissan really was the first to manufacture high rate EVs, and the Leaf was, I forget what it was, like 36,000 plus you get the $7,000 rebate here in the United States, so it brought it down 28,000 or so. But a year later, that thing was worth $10,000. Like, and
And Tesla,
it's all due
yeah,
to tech and battery, because
yeah.
each one of those things get better each year. It just kills auto manufacturing.
But Tesla they introduced to market the whole idea of just randomly dropping the price on a vehicle
Mhm,
by
mhm.
$10,000. And the result is I used to have a huge respect for those resale values. And that was one of the things that I really liked about Tesla. But ask people that bought, a Tesla in the last year, right before their roughly $10,000 price drop,
Yeah,
to after those customers got destroyed, and Teslas are not holding the value in 2020, mid 2023 on, they weren't holding their value they were back in, well, the last decade. So Teslas now are depreciating at a much higher rate than they used to. And I think this price fluctuation that, I think you said, well, most customers don't understand this price fluctuation being about commodity prices. And at the end of the day, when you're just looking at your own vehicle that you bought, who cares what the mineral price costs? What we
mhm,
want is to be able to buy a vehicle and know that we can resell it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later at a reasonable price. Whereas
yeah,
and that's why I'd say don't buy any electric vehicle, lease it, because at least, in my case, I bought at 112,000 and I could lease at 112,000. And right now that vehicle on trade, I could get about 65.
wow.
So I'm no mathematician here, but I can count that that's roughly, 50 or roughly $55,000 depreciation in one year, 12
Did
months.
you did you expect to get hit that hard when you leased that
No.
vehicle, or would that have changed if you would have known that, would that have changed your opinion of because I know you for your channel sake and stuff, you wanna be some early adapters to things because we wanna bring some of this stuff. I mean, that's part of I want the Ranger Raptor badly because 'cause I'm an off-road guy that likes to test things like that, but at the same point, I have to have the latest vehicles for my channel. I know for you, that's been part of you with Maverick and Bronco down in the past. So, knowing what you know now, would you have, made that deal?
I'm happy that I'm leasing it because at least at the end of the 4 years, if my buyback is, let's say, 45, and if it's worth 35,
Yeah.
that $10,000 loss, that's Ford's problem. They
Yeah.
they miscalculated, their problem, not mine. But as a guy that loves to change vehicles and has a car channel as an excuse to change vehicles and have write-offs, I'm so passionate about vehicles, and I do love bringing the latest and greatest to the car community. Yeah, I would not have touched it. I expected 1 year of ownership, of
Mhm.
leasing. I figured I'd flip it and
Mhm.
lose 10 to max $15,000. I did the math. I'm like, okay, so it's going to cost me $1,200 per month or less. I'm not a guy that does a lot of mileage, especially now with the baby. I'm doing
Mhm.
less mileage than ever. So I'd only be spending about $300 in fuel.
Mhm.
But I've got, this $1,636 lease payment, so it's rough. I'm gonna have to continue doing a lot of tax writing off by doing a lot of lightning videos. So folks, when I put out a lightning video, please help this guy feed and dress those poodles by, at least click on the video. Let it play in the background. If you don't like the lightning, just let it play in the background with the mute button on.
Right, just be sure to hit, the closed caption, though, because YouTube does watch that a little bit.
Oh,
And,
okay,
c
thank
I
you.
have to say congratulations, John, on the baby. We haven't got to talk much, but congratulations on that, man. I know,
Thank you.
you guys are gonna be amazing parents, so, it changes your life in ways that you cannot expect, so.
We are unbelievably happy for a couple that was looking at buying a condo in Florida. And then we thought our chances of having a child, we thought our chances were at zero. and I was shopping the condos in Florida, and this tops it. I absolutely love being a father, and it is
Good.
extreme. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
And you better make that little baby a car baby.
I know as a kid, one of the few ways that my parents could get me to sleep was to go for a car ride. It was a guaranteed way to get me to sleep. Now, as a teenager starting to drive, I still had a bit of that. I'm driving, I'm in a vehicle, and I'm going to fall asleep. So it wasn't later on. It wasn't great, but I do hope that she's going to be
Well,
a
one
car
last thing, John.
gal.
One last thing on that. So breaking news here with EVs. It used to be you put your kid in the car, the vibrations, the sounds of the car, plus the road noise would help put the baby to sleep. With EVs being so quiet, parents are out of luck, man. They're
Very,
too
very
quiet. They're too quiet.
solid point. Now, if you're good for it, we're going to switch over to the
Yeah.
new Ford Explorer. You've got a fantastic video on it. So, folks, if you're watching this as a cut-up episode, welcome to episode 2, new Ford Explorer, new prices, and what is the best model. So let's cover that right